Next up with us is another technology provider that has a. I'll let Tim, our next guest from mDialog, talk about his technology. But I think the reason mDialog is important to the conversation is because we're talking about secondary and alternative screens to what is traditional sort of live linear broadcast as well as rebroadcast now, and what new ad formats are enabled there, and how do we take that to market for advertisers when we're talking about content that is traditionally linear in nature. So I'll let Tim introduce himself and tell us a little bit about mDialog.
Sure, absolutely. Thanks for having me. I'm Tim Street from mDialog. We are a company that enables seamless ad insertion across new devices. So, you've been watching the iPad or something like that, new device, and you see that spinning wheel. Well, that's fine for some cases, but if you're doing television, you can't have spinning wheels. So our technology makes it so that there are no spinning wheels.
Can you talk a little bit about some of the content or broadcasts with which you've worked in the past or will be, just to sort of get in, you know?
There's a lot.
Are you a big dog is what I'm saying, Tim, really?
There are some big events that we've done, and there's a lot of our technology is being used. Unfortunately, NDAs are in place, so I can't talk about them. But I can talk about what's going on in the marketplace and what we're seeing happening in this space. And kind of a way to look at that. I mean, people right now, they're like, oh, we have all these devices. How are we going to do this? What are the models out there? Well, when it comes to video and television, and that's really where the big bucks are, right? In TV and live, linear, or VOD TV. And what we're seeing kind of translate in this environment, whether we're dealing with broadcasters or MSOs, or the programmers that are in the cable space, we're seeing it kind of play out like HD TV. The early days of HD TV, it was like, oh my God, is this going to be different? Or are we going to have different ad buys on HD than we would on SD? Well, no. Eventually, it's going to be, if you buy on a network, you're going to expect to see those ads on that network, unless there's a meaningful reason for them to be on something specific that is different content from what that network is, or if they want to target that ad addressably. And so that's something that we're really paying attention to is making addressable ads so that they're one-to-one.
But see, in some ways that that disappoints me, because the flexibility of your player is great, right? I mean, you can do in-app, you can pause in-app, you can sort of launch to what is an app in an app. I mean, there are lots of really interesting formats, and I know that there's no standard of pricing that or taking that to market, but if it's just bundled into the TV buy, you're never going to see what is an ad format that can drive to a measurable outcome because it's on an IP-enabled device come to life.
I think we'll see that in addition. So okay. we'll have a normal ad buy, and then on top of that, when you're watching on the PC, you're watching TV on the PC, you have a companion banner ad that's there. You have rich interactive media that can take place. You have interactive overlays that can take place on the PC. Well, what we've done is kind of tapped into that same model, but in HTML5. So we don't do any of the creative, we don't create these ads, but we enable it so that you can take HTML5, rich media, interactive, addressable overlays, and make that work on the iPad, on the iPhone, so that while you're watching a live, linear, or VOD stream, you can interact with that advertising that is companion banner ad, and it goes right on top of the video.
So can we geek out for a minute? Because I had the privilege of meeting your CEO, Greg, before, and Greg gave me a really interesting nugget about HLS as a standard. And one of the biggest discussions sort of at a macro level from the industry is that, IP delivered content is always tough for content creators because it requires multiple feeds, the cost of serving and delivery is greater, whereas linear broadcast is one feed, it's straightforward, it's easy, right? So tell me a little bit about how technology is moving and changing, and what's happening there that's making it easy for content providers to deliver to connected devices.
Sure. I mean, what we're seeing with HLS, HTTP live streaming, it's adaptive bitrate streaming. So the quality of the video changes based on your connection speed. And what we're seeing there is that with this technology, we're able to switch out things in the stream, so from the cloud. So with our stream switching technology, we can switch from the programming to the commercial break, or we can do sports blackouts. We can go from a national avail to a local avail. And so that's great for the cable world because they want to keep the models that they have, and they want to keep those in place without cannibalizing anything. So that's great for them. You know, it enables them to keep doing what they're doing and make money moving on to these new devices. And even better, it allows them to be addressable. I mean, for years, the cable industry has really wanted to be addressable, and now they can do that. You know, geo-aware devices that can tell us, and you know, it's only going to get better. I mean, it's pretty exciting right now.
So my last question is, do you get nervous that that because you're seeing, you know, sort of the second, third screen broadcasts on connected devices along with the linear broadcasts being combined, and that being sort of one aggregate, you know, advertising buy, do you get nervous that that bundling is going to result in the devaluing of of the inventory that your player enables?
So, I think that it really boils down to, you know, right now, you look at television, the highest CPMs around, but if it's television on any device, it's just a piece of glass, you know? You don't pay more to be on a Panasonic TV than you do a Sony TV, and I think we're going to get there.
Okay, I think that's definitely going to be a continuing conversation. So,
all right.
Tim, thanks for coming.
Thanks for having me.
Your stylist and makeup artist did a great job today, so
Thank
you look wonderful. I appreciate it.